So here we have RX3UTE. So for those though that aren't OGs or haven't been around the rotor scene for a long time, give you a bit of a rundown of what this vehicle is all about, the history of it and what it is now. So back in 2000, I purchased a 1980 B1600 Ute and played around with it, primed it, sacked it on some wide wheels, and put a 10A RX3 nose cone inside the original Ute grille. It was quite cool for a while. I thought it was cool. And then it got ripped off on my lawn. They stole the wheels, the gauges, the steering wheel and whatnot, and they dropped it on some logs and completely destroyed the cab. It was basically a write-off. So I found another donor. It was actually real tidy. It was owned by a panel beater who replaced every single panel on the cab itself, but it was a flat deck. So luckily the guys that ripped off the Ute didn't actually didn't damage the deck in any way. So that was usable. So I started pulling it apart, acquired a 13B Series 4 turbo block, and yeah, just set about putting a rotor in it. And yeah, I was looking at the grill with the 10A grill inside it and thought, well, you know, might as well go whole hog, and got offered a genuine 12A steel nose cone. And everybody hated it at the time that I'd cut up a genuine nose cone because they weren't being remade at that point. But it was my vehicle and I did what I wanted to do. So I grafted it on and had a panel beater, welded it all together. It came out pretty good. I painted it myself, did all the engine conversion myself, and had WRX seats in it. Took it to the four-on rotor nats and put it on the dyno, and that's about it. Got it home, painted it lemon yellow with a green pearl. Then about a month later, I sold it. About a year and a half or so after that, the guy that bought it off me crashed it, which was a shame. And I sort of vowed to always rebuild it bigger and better than what it was, the exact way that I wanted to build it. So this one here, I picked up I managed to get the plates back. I've actually got the original plates on my work van. So that is the original plate, dated 2001, which is cool. It's the only surviving piece of that Ute. So I managed to get the plates back, which took quite a while. It took me about 20 years. And then I found a decent donor Ute, which I thought was a decent donor Ute, which is over there on the hoist. Ripped into that, found a couple of things that I didn't like about it, and then got offered another one, which is this one here. Slightly less rust issues, but I still found a few bogies that I didn't like. So just put the nose cone on. So this one is complete bolt-on. It bolts to the radiator support panel, and you'll see the guards here have been matched to suit. This is what I always wanted to do, is make it bolt on, so if I ever had a stack in the front, you can just buy another nose cone and away you go. So this one I wanted to go above and beyond. Down here I've fitted Series 4 brakes, so 4 pots, Series 4 discs and hubs, adapted to the B1600 spindles. And in there I've got QA1 coilovers. And at the moment, so I took it to the foreign rotary nats, which was a mad push to get it done, and got that. So the day of the foreign rotary nats, I hadn't even driven it, and we got it fired up, drove it on the trailer, drove it into the nats, and that was the first time I ever drove it. Realised that the brakes weren't very good, and the turning circle wasn't very good because she was pretty much slammed. Yes, and we've also got the Series 4 brakes in the back. with the handbrake cables running up into the front. So now we've gone from the pull type handbrake to the center pull handbrake, and yes, that is an RX3 center console. It's not an immaculate one, it's pretty untidy. I want to get a new one day. But this interior we did ourselves. My partner and I, we designed it, stitched it and put it all together, and it took us about 2 days work putting all this together. I also did all the wiring myself. So in here we've got Haltech IC7 dash standalone, just a sort of cam pad just to run basically a heater box, and I've got some spare buttons, electric water pump, and in here is just the factory heater box with the core removed. No heater in this one. So the guts of the wiring all runs up through the dash and down to the control center down here. So I've got 2 fuse boxes and the cam pad controller, which is all the relays all in one, isolation switch and solenoid to turn it all on. So up the front in the engine bay, kind of minimal wiring. So basically the only wiring I've got is the fuel pressure sensor, oil, water sensor, and the wiring to the dizzy and the alternator. And over on this side, all I've got is basically the water pump and the fan wire and the brake switch wire. So that's basically it. You won't find any other wiring, no other looms. Pretty cool. I like the way that it's come out. Yeah, real tidy. Now this engine here, it's a 12A J-port built by Bradley Tick. This thing pulses real hard. Bloody awesome, sounds great. Can't wait to get it broken in and actually get to drive it properly. So I actually went with a side mount alternator on this one from Franklin, but ended up having to make my own mounting plate because the Franklin one just mounted it way too low, and it was fouling on the chassis rail. So mounted it all myself, got it all set up. Same with the water pump. It just comes straight off the radiator there, just with some nice hard line and joiners. Brakes up this end, I've got the Wilwood Compact Tandem Master and Wilwood clutch slave. So down this end, the only other bodywork I've really done to it other than the nose cone was to just fully encase the tub. So I had a skin made up. I had it folded up by a local panel beater and I welded it in myself. Just set the old welder onto full fizz and got it in there, and it actually come up with minimal filler, which was awesome. And the number plate is it's actually floating in there and it's held on by light up bolts, which is pretty cool. So we got back from the foreign rotor nats and immediately ripped the diff out. Yep, what the hell am I doing? So it turns out didn't have quite enough suspension travel, so I decided to 4-link it. So I've gone triangulated 4-link, which, yeah, it's pretty easy to do. I just measured up the arms. I was going to use the original spring perches in the front there, but they were way too close to the diff, so I just chopped them off and got it all squared up, fizzed in there. These tubes here were linked up to the original crossbar, which had the shock mounts. In here sits my fuel cell. I've got my drive shaft hoop and the handbrake cables run through there. So a little trip to Cardwell's this morning, picked me up a pair of DS402s and some 180-pound springs, 9-inch coils, and they're going to sit down in here, get some mounts plasma cut from Lasertech. He fizzes me up a lot of stuff, which is cool, and we'll get those mounted in. Also, my exhaust has got basically goes 2 flexies then into the 2 resonators and then into that twin 2.5 and 3 out. Then it goes into a bend up over the diff, straight out to the back. Sounds pretty good. So at the moment, she's pretty dirty. She's just been sitting in my shop here, just gathering dust. Getting it all ready for Jamboree, end of March. So yeah, I haven't decided whether I'm going to stick with the Mazda Speed MSO1s or refurb these 19-inch Drift Rs. Pretty bogan spec, probably belong on a Skyline more than a Ute, but yeah, we'll see. So the other option I was going to do was this chassis here, which is airbagged. Well, partway through getting airbags. This is also 4-linked with a narrowed Falcon diff. This got parallel 4-link, so it's going to need a Watts link or a pan hard bar, which is pretty easy to do, but that's also running the same ratio as this, which is a 3.7 LSD. So it should get up and boogie along pretty good, nice and light. I think this ute only weighs probably 900 kilos or so at the moment, especially with all the floor ripped out of it. But in the floor, for those that went to the foreign rotary nets, you would have seen the wood floor that I had in there. Wasn't exactly finished because I kind of ran out of time. I cut all that up and just laid it in there the morning of nats. So this is what we'll be running in it. This is Fijian mahogany, so it's really nice. It comes up beautiful stained, but this is also the natural color, and it darkens up a bit more in the light as well. So yeah, once the 4-link's done, we'll get that back in, remount the tank. In here on the sides, I actually got all this LE sheet and we cut it and bead rolled it. Then we run a little rubber bead on it, and it comes up slick as like that there. That sits there nice, and it just finishes it all off. Looks pretty tidy. And in the front, I've just got one big rolled hoop that goes in a big hump. So yeah, so that's RX3UTE, and so yeah, once it's all done, I'm just going to drive it. You know, I had it painted in this chocolate brown and a bit of gold pearl in it. Yeah, I think it come up bloody awesome. I love it. The original one I painted yellow, so this is quite a bit different. And yeah, it goes with the tan seats and the interior. And I'm pretty stoked with how it came out, especially for a couple of backyarders. You know, I only paid to get it painted, and I had a panel beater called the Tinkerer down Palmy Way around Fielding. He did the massaging of the guards and also trimming of the nose, the leading edge of the bonnet. So yeah, I've also got another setup that I could run on this, which was actually mocked up on that one not so long ago. So yeah, welcome to 808 Ute. So I thought, you know, what's the next best thing to a 12A front? Maybe the round light 808 front, which I could also swap out for a 10A front if I could find one, or go for the square light 808. Personally, I think this looks pretty tough. And this ute here is, if I stick with this, finish off the project, it's getting some flares, some big flares which fit on there, and got some 18 by 9s which will pump out of the guards pretty good. So yeah, and I've got a 12A turbo block for this one. So yeah, that's about all I got. Yeah, it's just basically a knockoff Nardi 12A turbo box in here, and these 350Z seats are actually electric, and they work bloody well, really comfortable. So that's about all I got. Just got to crack on and get these mounts laser cut and installed, and then I can actually finish it off and take it for home.